massive fire in the slums of Guryong, a slum in the Gangnam District of southern Seoul, South Korea, has displaced hundreds of people and consumed the neighborhood in 8 hours. A massive fire broke out in Guryong, one of the last remaining slums in Seoul, in the early hours of Friday morning, January 16, 2026, and about 260 residents were evacuated from their temporary homes. Experts and local authorities have yet to officially announce the cause of the fire after confirming the fire. Although no fatalities have been reported, the economic damage and psychological stress on residents have cast a heavy shadow over the slum. Guryong is one of the last remaining slums in Seoul, located in the Gangnam District, and has always been at risk from natural and man-made disasters due to its high density of temporary housing and informal structures. The neighborhood was established in the 1980s. When many poor and low-income residents were forced to settle in the area during urban development projects and the evacuation of old neighborhoods, Guryong houses are mainly made of lightweight and flammable materials, and its alleys and spaces are very narrow and compact. These characteristics have led to several fires in the Guryong neighborhood over the decades. The January 16, 2026, fire was one of the largest and longest lasting, spreading rapidly through the neighborhood and forcing hundreds of residents to evacuate their temporary homes. The high density of housing, flammable materials, and lack of adequate safety infrastructure made the fire a major and stressful event for residents, although fortunately no fatalities have been reported so far. The Guryong incident also highlights the social and economic contradictions in Seoul. Slums are located near some of the city's most expensive areas and have long been a symbol of the deep divide between modern urban life and low-income housing. In addition to the financial losses, the recent fire is a reminder of the urgent need to develop safety infrastructure and social support for residents of vulnerable urban neighborhoods. The fire started around 5 a.m. on Friday. From the very beginning, firefighters with more than 1,200 personnel and extensive equipment, including helicopters and water sprinklers, were deployed. As the fire grew in intensity until around 1:15 a.m., the alert level was raised to level 2. The flames were initially brought under control by mid-morning, and finally, at around 1:30 p.m., the fire was completely contained. The firefighting operation involved a variety of equipment, including water tankers, pumping vehicles, heavy machinery, and several hundred firefighters. Fog and dust delayed the operation of firefighting helicopters until midday, but aerial operations and drones were then deployed to contain the flames and monitor hotspots. At the same time, local and municipal authorities set up a temporary medical base to address the emergency situation of residents and an emergency shelter at a school to temporarily house evacuees. The acting fire chief also arrived at the scene to hold a crisis management and damage assessment meeting. Authorities are also assessing the financial and structural damage, and all measures will be taken to prevent such incidents from happening again. After 8 hours of relentless efforts, the fire in the Guryong neighborhood of Seoul was brought under control. Hundreds of residents were evacuated from their temporary homes to safe places, and fortunately, no casualties were reported. However, the financial losses and psychological stress still remain. Local authorities and the fire department are still busy assessing the damage and strengthening the safety of the neighborhood to prevent such incidents from happening again. The fire has once again shown that the social and economic divides in the heart of Seoul still run deep and require urgent attention.